Tax policy will now come to order. The House of Tax Policy will come to order. Would the clerk please take the attendance?
Chair Neely,
Here.
Representatives Farhat,
Here.
Brixey,
Here.
Carter,
Here.
Witset,
Here.
Grant,
Here.
Price,
Here.
Van Workum,
Here.
Markkinen,
Here.
Outman,
Here.
Tisdale,
Here.
Hoadley.
Here.
Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Vice Chair Farhat makes a motion to adopt the minutes from June 21st, 2023 meeting. Without any objections, the minutes are adopted. For today's agenda, we will vote on SB 55 chain and testimony and vote on HB 4926 B Carter. We will now take up testimony on HB 4926 from Rep. Carter. Rep. Carter, you can come around, and you can also bring the Department of Treasury with you, Peter Moran, David Buick, and Mike Johnston from MMA.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. Thank you for taking up my bill, House Bill 4926. My bill would provide a permanent fix to settle how business properties held by employees at remote work locations away from the business's ordinary location should be assessed. The global COVID-19 pandemic resulted in a significant shift in our behaviors. It certainly changed how we approach most things in life, including how we work and especially where we work. As a result of the pandemic, the practice of more employees keeping company-owned equipment at their homes in jurisdictions outside of a business ordinary location has increased significantly. We now know that remote work in some form is likely to continue to exist. So to will the practice of employees maintaining business property at remote work locations. Over the past couple of sessions, the legislature has enacted legislation to temporarily allow this property to be assessed. And if it were at that business location, it is clear that we need to make this change permanent for businesses and local governments. And my bill would do just that. Without my bill, businesses could be overly burdened by having to track and report the locations of their equipment to multiple jurisdictions, which could be very burdensome. This will ease tax administration for local governments. I am joined here today by Mike Johnston of the Michigan Manufacturers Association and Peter Moorman and David Buick from the Michigan Department of Treasury. Both MMA and Treasury have been great partners in providing this permanent relief to businesses. Before I conclude and turn it over to them, I want to thank again this committee, Madam Chair, for taking testimony on my bill. I thank you for your support.
I'll go first, Madam Chair. Thank you very much. I'm Mike Johnston, Executive Vice President of Government Affairs for the Michigan Manufacturers Association. And Madam Chair and committee member, thank you very much for the opportunity to be here, first of all. And Representative Carter, thank you for sponsoring this bill. We've worked very closely with Treasury for 3 years, really since COVID started, and as Representative Carter said, providing solutions once a year. And now Treasury agrees that the remote work dynamic is very likely going to stay. So a permanent fix to this conundrum is very appropriate. So we appreciate you taking the bill up. Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, thanks for having us as well. Peter Moorman, Legislative Liaison with the Department of Treasury, along with David Buick. He's our Property Services Division Administrator, and also serves as Executive Director of the State Tax Commission. Yes, thank you again for taking the bill up, and appreciate the timing of this as well, and I think the stakeholders appreciate the timing of this to try to get this done well before the end of the year, so everybody has a chance to plan ahead. Thank you for that. And as the representative and Mike indicated, we've worked on this issue with stakeholders in the legislature for the last 3 years to execute temporary solutions, and the experience that we've all had, I think, lends itself to the idea that making this fix permanent makes a lot of sense for everybody. And it's helpful for businesses and local governments and assessors alike. And with that, I guess we're happy to answer any questions.
Rep. Van Rappner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Appreciate everyone being here and answering questions and providing testimony. Just trying to think through this. I know that comments of how remote work is kind of here to stay. I think there's still a broader debate that's happening regarding remote work. Certainly some industries have found that works and they thrive in it. Others have seen deterioration. But I guess my question, the representative mentioned how this benefits cities. If we're going towards this remote work route, and I've heard from several local municipalities of just how we kind of calculate the income tax for cities that have income tax. Has Treasury or anyone done an analysis of how remote work has now impacted some of the cities that rely on income tax, and then with us incentivizing further of going to a more permanent model, would that have, is there any forecasting of what kind of impact that would be?
I don't know if we have any specific projections on city income tax. Again, this is a property tax bill. We do know that city income tax revenue is falling somewhat as a result of remote work. I believe there's been some accommodation for that in recent budgets through appropriations. In terms of this issue, the property tax issue, we don't see this as an incentive that's promoting remote work one way or the other necessarily, and we're not taking a stand on the efficacy of remote work and the benefits. But it's the idea here is just adjusting to the world as we're finding it to make the administrative process easier for everybody. It's hard to sort out exactly how the exact revenue implications per jurisdiction with something like this. It's a fluid situation. There's would possibly be, and maybe Mike can speak to this as well, but when an employee has equipment at a different jurisdiction, in that jurisdiction there's potentially the business could potentially take the small business taxpayer exemption, but it seems like the benefit of doing that is outweighed by the just administrative costs of trying to sort that out for every possible jurisdiction out there where their employees are. But I don't know. Hopefully that answers your question, and Mike might be able to chime in.
A little bit. I guess you mentioned, yes, this is a property tax bill, but the income tax for cities, as I understand, is based on how many days you spend in that city working. And as you mentioned, we've had to compensate. So there's a lot of just shifting and a broader conversation about remote work versus office work. And I think government is trying to figure that out and react to that as well. And I don't think it's sustainable for the state government to continue to prop that up. And with the opportunity to ask questions about this, and still I believe there is flux in that marketplace of determining whether remote or at office is the way to go. So just trying to ask that question, maybe more of a sunset to this may be a better option than a just permanent removal. So thank you.
Thank you. Rep. Brixey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That was a confusing line of questioning to me because we're talking about property tax, not income tax. But my questions are for Mr. Mormon, I believe. So refresh my memory. Did we say that does this, and I'm reading the memo, not the language of the bill, does this say that the company is paying the personal property tax in the jurisdiction of the office, whether or not the people happen to be at home, they left the laptop at the office, or they took the laptop home? It goes back and forth each day, right? So it is being paid, but it's being paid at the office, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I am very supportive of that bill. It makes it easier to, the bill goes with the appropriate person. The appropriate person is the owner of the personal property, not the employee who may be at a coffee shop, maybe at home, maybe, So I am supportive of this bill. The only other question I had was any unintended consequences. And so thinking of the exemptions, if we change this, does it change anything with anybody who has, will it make anybody have to fill out a new personal property tax exemption form or anything like that for anybody who already did that, or any unintended consequences for the municipalities handling these cases?
Well, let Dave and maybe Mike would want to chime in, but I don't believe so.
Yeah, this should prevent them from having to file a small business exemption if they had less than $180,000 worth of equipment in Bath Township. If they had less than $180,000, they could file the personal property, small business personal property exemption, and claim zero on it. And so by doing this and having it all say in the city of Lansing, they don't have to file those forms.
But we weren't making them file those forms anyway, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so so it isn't changing any of the, it isn't increasing any municipal burden for anybody. It's basically maintaining the status quo, but taking COVID out of it and codifying what we came up with during COVID, and that is if you have a workforce that sometimes works remotely and sometimes works from the office, you can just pay all the tax at the office.
Correct.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much for your testimony. We definitely appreciate it. Now we'll read the cards in. NFLB supports. Michigan Township Association supports. City Manager of Wyoming supports. Small Business Association of Michigan supports. Michigan Chamber support, and Michigan Municipality support. Representative Grant makes a motion to report HB 4926. Mr. Clerk, please call the vote.
On the motion to report, Chair Neely,
Yes.
Representatives Farhat,
Yes.
Brixey,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Witsat,
Yes.
Grant,
Yes.
Price,
Yes.
Van Workum,
Pass.
Markkinen,
Pass.
Outman,
Pass.
Tisdale,
Pass.
Hoadley.
Pass.
Madam Chair, you have 7 yeas, 0 nays, and 5 pass HB 4926. Report with recommendation.
Thank you. We will now take up SB 55 chain. Representative Price makes a motion to report SB 55 out. Mr. Clerk, please take the vote.
On the motion to report, Chair Neely,
Yes.
Representatives Farhat,
Yes.
Brixey,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Witsat,
Yes.
Grant,
Yes.
Price,
Yes.
Van Workum,
Yes.
Markkinen,
Yes.
Outman, Tisdale,
Yes.
Hoadley?
Yes.
Madam Chair, you have 11 yeas, 0 nays, and 1 pass. SB 55 is report recommendation.
Thank you. I forgot to do the cards, so let me make sure we do that. Michigan Catholic Conference support the bill. Michigan Community Action supports the bill, and Michigan ML supports the bill. Without any objections, there being no other business before this committee, this committee stands adjourned.